So hi, I'm Jo Bingham. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to have a go at a Frangipani. So this is the photograph I'm going to use, and it's a wonderful photo by Kerrie Marshall. Thank you, Kerrie. I have always tried to steer away from Frangipanis because they're incredibly hard to paint, because they have such a softness where the gradient goes from yellow to grey. It's very, very gentle, and that's really hard to achieve. Plus you've got clean whites, so you have to try and keep those clean. And last but not least, the tricky sort of combination of how the flower is actually put together is really difficult. So I thought, well, to challenge myself, I would do a few petals in watercolour and a few petals in coloured pencil and see which I find the easiest, or which I find maybe the most effective. So I'm going to take you on part of that journey with me. So I'm just going to remove these. So this is the materials that I've sorted out. So paint wise, hang on, that's the wrong colour. We were going to go with this one. So we've got cadmium yellow hue and grey titanium. And colour pencil wise, I've got 3 of the Faber-Castell colours. I've got, obviously the golden, there's dark cadmium yellow, dark cadmium orange, and that one is cold grey. Plus a blender, so we'll see how we go. So I might try and tackle the painting first, so I'll just go and get ready. Okay, the first petal I'm going to attempt is going to be this one, which is actually at the top, but I've reversed it. The reason I chose this one is because it's quite clean. There's not too much grey on there, so hopefully I can demonstrate how I can get that blending from the yellow to almost white up here, and then you've just got a few grey lines up here, and I'm obviously going to do that in watercolour, so we'll see how we go. So I'd say first piece of advice, if you were going to do this yourself, is to make sure that you have clean materials, you have a clean palette, unlike mine, clean water, clean your brush before you even start, because often our brushes can leave traces of the last colour that we painted with, which we don't want. So you load your brush with water and then start to paint. Now be really careful. So this is about a size 10 and it holds a lot of water. So when I say load, I mean you put your brush in the water and knock very little off. So there's lots of water in there, but it's got a reasonable point. So we stroke the water on and try and do this as carefully as possible. Go around your pencil lines. So I've got my cadmium yellow all ready to go in a minute. So I'm going around the outside of the petal as well as the inside. So I've gone right to the outside and painted the fold over as well. Okay. So now just stroke the paper, because you don't want the water pooling anywhere. You want it nice and flat. And if you want to know what I'm painting on, it's a hot press paper. The reason I chose a hot pressed is because it's flatter than a cold pressed. Cold pressed has more tooth. So this is flatter, and because that blending from the yellow to white is so smooth, I thought, well, probably need to at least, help myself and try and give myself the best opportunity possible. So still using this number 10. So when I'm doing something, it has to be quite, that yellow is quite bright. So I'm using a tube paint, so it's already moist, and my brush is actually going into that lump of paint. If I make a well of colour, it's not going to be strong enough. So the brush actually into the paint. Okay, and we'll start off about here. I might change my brush in a minute, but we'll see. Yep, we've got a nice strong yellow. I am actually going to change my brush to a number 4 round. And now I'm going to put a bit more yellow paint on that brush, but it's not quite as dark. Can you see that that's paler when it goes on? And I'm drawing up the line here. So this is where we've got the flap, the over flap, where it's turned over. And the yellow goes to about there. So use the end of your brush just to blend. Now I'm going to wash my brush out and try and get rid of all the yellow. And I'm also going to get rid of the moisture, because there's enough moisture on there that I can just use the very tip, just on the outside, just to make sure that that is blended the way I want it to blend. There you go. And because it's watercolour, it will dry paler anyway. Right, so now, because that's nearly dried off, I'm going to put some titanium grey out. Sorry, it is grey titanium, which is this colour. It's a Daniel Smith colour. And put a little bit out on my palette. So we're going to go up here because that's almost dry. Can you see what a beautiful, delicate colour that is? It's ideal for these flowers. Now it still is a little bit damp up there, so I'm going to clean my brush out, dry it off, and I'm going to take out. So when you take out, you press your brush down, a nice clean dry brush. I'll do it again. And I've taken out that. So can you see you're left with a nice clean line around there? Right, and then we'll do a bit down here. So we'll do a background. We're just going to do a sort of coloured, multicolored background at the end. So this time it is dry. So I'm painting firstly that side, and now I'm going to wet my brush and take most of the water out. I still want some water because I'm going to blend this side. And again, wash my brush, take the water out, and I've gone right up to the yellow this time. Now it has just started to bleed there where the yellow was still wet. So what you do is the same as we did at the top. Wash your brush, get the water out, and then take your brush along there. Okay. Now we've gone back to the grey titanium, and we're just going to put a bit more shape in there. Okay, I think that's done reasonably well. So I shall stop the video and we'll switch to doing a pencil one. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we'll go with the coloured pencil one now. So I'm going to do this petal here. So now the beauty, these are actually watercolor pencils, but I am going to use them as pencils. And the reason I chose watercolor pencils over ordinary ones is because they're very blendable. They're high in pigment, and they're very soft as well. So we just put the colour on first. So I put it roughly in the area that it should go. It's about there, I think. And then we get our blender, which is one of these. Can you see how that's changed? And the colour has changed as well, very slightly. It's gone yellower. So you do have to press quite hard. I have no idea what these are made of, but you can get them in all art shops and online. Right, can you see the difference between that side and that side? And that's just by using a blender. And this is why I was saying watercolor pencils are just fantastic, because they combine both qualities. So you can use them as watercolor pencils, or you can use them as pencils, and they just are amazing for blending. Right, so now we're just going to do exactly the same as we did with the other one. We want it nice and smooth right at the edge. There you go, how easy was that? So now we're going to go with the grey. I'm just going to sharpen this, sorry. I just stopped the video. Okay, I have the grey pencil. So the first thing, I'm just going to sharpen that line up. Just a general tip, when you're drawing with coloured pencils, keep your pencils sharp. It's so hard to draw precisely when you have blunt pencils. And where you hold your pencil is really important, you know, because I don't want it too hard. So if I held my pencil like that, I would get very hard and dark lines. So I'm holding it in the middle where I have a reasonable amount of control, but also the pressure is not going to be too hard. So that goes up to about there. Now it has a little bit of reflective yellow in it, so I'm going to get the yellow pencil again and just do a little bit down here. Up there, and then you also have some shadow, and it's slightly darker. In there, so I'm going to layer, I'm layering the grey over the yellow. Okay. I think this side is better than the black side because it's very soft on this end. So when you're blending, you want some power behind you. So I'm pressing really hard to blend these. as you can probably hear. See how nicely this blends. And then you've got that little bit of reflected light down there, the yellow. Okay, so which one do you think is best? The paint or the pencil? So what I'm going to do from here is I will go and complete all the petals, and I will display it after this, and you can make that decision for yourself, which one you like the best. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video, and I will see you soon.